$45 worth of roast. I'm going to can them in pints. My dishwasher's broken, so it has become canning jar storage. These are the size of chunks that I chopped it up in. Fairly decent size. They don't have to be tiny. Basically, this is going to break down in the canner anyway, and it's going to look funky after you can it, but when you go to open it and go to use it, you can kind of shred it. It'll be like you roasted it in a crock pot or in the oven for 3 or 4 hours. I'm not going to add any extra salt to it because I had so much salt on it before. And I'm going to fill them up to about 1 inch of headspace. Anytime you do raw meat, it's basically the same process. So if I were to do pork or chicken, I would do it the exact same way. You just basically want to make sure that there's no food on it like that. If there's any sort of chip in the rim, it won't seal, or it'll have a false seal. You don't want that because then your food could go bad. Now to try to find all of my wide mouth rings. The ring storage is high tech, you know. Believe you can. You can be disorganized too. I had to borrow some rings off of some of my dry goods. What fingertip tight is if you put the lid on the jar, basically, and with just your fingers, you turn it until it doesn't turn anymore. Now, I'll go a little bit beyond fingertip tight. So fingertip tight would be until it stops, until it turns on its own when you use your fingers. I will do that and then a slight turn further. So I could fit more in the bottom of this, but since I'm going to double stack this, I only have 4 more jars. I'm going to go ahead and just do, 6 right there, and then put another rack right on my remaining 4 jars. You can add other things to this. Meat is basically the longest processing that you're going to do for the most part. So if you wanted to can something else along with this, you can. Apple cider vinegar. And that's just going to keep my jars from becoming a little cloudy, a little bit of residue on it. And from here, it is sealed. I'm going to turn the fire on and let it bring it up to a boil. Once we get a steady stream of steam coming out of the vent here, I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes. But I think it's pretty standard. It's the same way with this as it is my All-American. 10 minutes of steam, steady steam coming out of the vent, and then you're going to put your weight on top of the vent and let it come up to pressure. But you don't start your timer for processing time until you reach that desired pressure, and that's going to depend on your elevation. I am under 1,000 feet elevations. My pressure is going to be 10 pounds, so I will use a 10-pound weight. Or if you're using an All-American, you will put the weight on with the 10-pound marker. And then once your processing time is done, 75 minutes for these pints of meat, I'm going to turn my fire all the way down, and once it stops dropping, the pressure starts dropping, then I'm just going to shut the fire off and just let it sit. It can take an hour or more to completely come down to no pressure whatsoever. Don't remove the weight. Don't try to take the lid off, nothing like that, until the pressure is completely out of the canner. This will be totally flat if you have a canner that has these. The All-American doesn't have that. You just have to wait until it reaches 0 and then wait a little longer, because even once it reaches 0, there's still going to be some pressure in there, and you don't want to open it if there's any pressure in the canner at all. So for the Prestos, you just wait until this is completely flat, and then when that happens, you can crack the lid, let some of the steam out, and then slowly start your process of pulling it down, removing the jars very, very carefully, and then letting them sit for 12, 24 hours, depending on your patience.